Okay, picture this. London, 1888. You've got a librarian just doing their job, right? Sifting through papers.
Right.
And these aren't just any papers. They belong to Helena Blavatsky, who is already, quite a figure.
Definitely. Enigmatic, to say the least.
So this librarian stumbles upon a handwritten manuscript, starts reading.
Yeah.
And whatever was in it, it hits them hard.
Like profoundly disturbing.
Exactly. So much so, they immediately take it to the leaders of the Theosophical Society, and the reaction...
Let me guess, not calm.
Not even close. Immediate panic. They grab the document, confiscate it, publicly deny it even exists, and poof, it's gone, vanished.
Wow, quite a scene. That level of urgency, it tells you something powerful was in those pages.
Absolutely. It held a claim so radical, so controversial, that it was basically silenced for over 100 years.
And we're talking serious ripples.
Yeah.
Religious leaders freaking out, secret societies getting involved.
You got it. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to dive deep into that forbidden manuscript.
Our mission, if you will.
Exactly. Uncover what was in it, figure out why it caused such an uproar, and maybe most importantly, explore what Blavatsky's most explosive idea might mean for you listening right now.
It's like trying to understand a kind of cosmic bomb, something that really challenges how we see ourselves.
Okay, so let's peel back that first layer, that 1888 discovery. It wasn't just finding a lost document. For the librarian, reading it must have felt like reality itself shifted.
And the core of it, the really disruptive part.
Was this: not all human beings possess a soul.
Oof, yeah, that's big.
And the way she laid it out, it wasn't some vague, mystical idea. She apparently presented it as a, quote, complete manual on the occult division of humanity.
A manual?
Yeah.
Seriously? With criteria?
Specific criteria, almost like a field guide, yeah. To identify who had what she called a developed soul and who was just, her words, an empty shell.
Wow. Imagine getting your hands on that.
Yeah.
The framework for sorting people by their, spiritual essence.
The fallout was instant. Her own group, the Theosophical Society, snatches it, denies it, but it went way beyond them.
You mentioned the church.
Yeah. We know from internal Vatican documents they were seriously concerned. There's even a note saying something like, if not everyone has a soul, the entire doctrine of universal salvation collapses.
Which makes sense. It completely changes the game, doesn't it? From this universal path for everyone to calf, something much more selective.
Exactly. And it wasn't just religious groups. Powerful esoteric societies, like the Masons, the Golden Dawn, they got wind of it.
And what was their take? Did they think it was nonsense?
Apparently not. They formed this sort of silent alliance to keep it suppressed, not because they disagreed, but because they thought revealing it would be, catastrophic for society.
So they believed it, or at least parts of it, but thought it was too dangerous for people to know.
That seems to be the gist. Even Blavatsky's successor, Henry Steele Olcott, decided on absolute secrecy. He actually wrote in his private memoirs, some truths are too heavy to be carried by common humanity.
Too heavy to be carried. That's quite a statement.
For over a century, it stayed hidden, supposedly passed down only by word of mouth, within this tiny inner circle.
But secrets have a way of getting out, don't they?
Always. Late 1990s, boom, someone digitizes it, puts it online, it spreads like wildfire for a bit, then gets taken down. People debate if it's real, it gets twisted into conspiracy theories.
But the core text itself, what makes it still so potent, even now?
I think it's how she presented it. It wasn't like some rambling visionary text. It was structured, systematic. She wrote, apparently, like a scientist laying out data, observations, conclusions.
Which makes it harder to just dismiss as fantasy. It confronts you.
Right. That's why it's still probably one of the most controversial esoteric texts out there.
So who is this woman, Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, the one who dropped this bombshell?
Well, her life itself is something else. Born in Ukraine, 1831. And apparently unusual stuff happened around her right from the start.
Like what kind of stuff?
Well, there are documented accounts from her family. Things moving on their own when she was 7. By 10, supposedly talking to spirits like it was normal conversation.
Okay, so not your typical Victorian upbringing.
Not even remotely. And her personality totally defied the times. Fearless. Smoked cigars, cursed like a sailor, challenged anyone. Religious figures, academics.
He sounds like a force of nature.
And then, at 17, she takes off on her own. Travels the world for 7 years.
Solo. In the mid-19th century.
Yep. Studying with occult masters in India, exploring temples in Egypt, supposedly accessing knowledge in Tibet. These weren't tourist trips. She called them real initiation.
Into traditions most Westerners back then wouldn't even know existed.
Exactly. So when she pops back up in the West in 1873, she has this incredible depth of knowledge about Eastern philosophy that just baffled people. She spoke with this precision.
And didn't she also have these psychic abilities everyone talked about?
Oh, yeah. That was a big part of it. Things like the Mahatma letters she claimed were from hidden masters that would just materialize. out of thin air. Seriously. Materialize.
That was the claim. And it wasn't just her saying it. Scientists, investigators from the London Society for Psychical Research, they studied this stuff for years. Some tried to debunk her, others were convinced, but almost everyone agreed they'd never seen anything like it.
So she wasn't just talking the talk.
She seemed to be walking the walk, at least in a way that got serious attention. Then, 1875, New York, she co-founds the Theosophical Society.
Which wasn't just another spiritual club, right? It had bigger aim.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was meant to be this revolutionary movement, revealing the hidden truths she believed connected all religions. And her main work, The Secret Doctrine, came out in 1888, same year as the Forbidden Manuscript discovery.
That's the huge one, right? 6 volumes.
Massive. Over 1,500 pages, packed with references to ancient texts some scholars hadn't even heard of, talking about cosmic evolution, these root races, spiritual development, concepts that felt wildly ahead of their time.
You can see why she'd make enemies, presenting stuff like that. Oh, absolutely. The established church, they saw her as a direct threat. She wasn't just critiquing dogma. She was offering a whole alternative system based on older traditions.
So they attacked her.
Fiercely. Priests called her a demonic agent. Bishops actually organized book burnings.
Wow. And the scientific community.
They went after her too. Not just about the psychic stuff, but her actual theory. If what she was saying about human evolution was true, it basically meant ripping up the anthropology textbooks of the day.
A complete rewrite.
Right, and even other esoteric groups, they had this weird relationship with her. Many secretly admitted she knew her stuff, but they were terrified she'd reveal too much.
Like spilling secrets meant only for initiates.
Exact. High-ranking Masons might respect her privately, but criticize her publicly. And part of the problem was her complete lack of diplomacy.
She didn't sugarcoat things.
Not at all. If she thought a doctrine was bunk, she said so. If she thought a spiritual leader was a fraud, she called them out. No filter.
That tends to ruffle feathers.
Big time. And it cost her. 1884, a former employee accused her of fraud, saying the phenomena were just tricks. It became this huge international scandal.
Did it ruin her?
It definitely damaged her reputation publicly, even though the investigation wasn't conclusive. But here's the thing about Blavatsky. She didn't back down.
No.
Quite the opposite. It seems like that intense pressure, the attacks, it actually spurred her on. That's when she apparently started working on her most radical stuff.
Like she felt this urgency to get it out there.
It seems like it. Like she had these truths she'd held back for decades, and now, under fire, she just had to write them down. Alone in London, critics everywhere, she decides to write this.
The Forbidden Manuscript.
The Forbidden Manuscript.
Okay, so let's get into that core idea. You ever look around and just wonder, why do some people seem so spiritually aware, almost from birth?
Yeah, like they just get it. They have this wisdom, this compassion, while others seem completely focused on just the surface level of life.
Right, and they can live their whole lives like that, never really questioning deeper things. Blavatsky claimed she had the answer in these hidden writings, and it wasn't exactly comforting.
No rainbows and unicorns here.
Definitely not. She basically said humanity isn't this one big group all slowly evolving together. Instead, it's more like a rigid spiritual hierarchy, an occult stratification, called it.
Stratification, like layers.
Exactly. Layers determining your deepest potential right from birth. She saw 3 distinct categories of humans walking around, looking the same on the outside, but fundamentally different inside, spiritually different.
Okay, what are they?
First, maybe only about 5% of people she called the bearers of the inner flame.
Bearers of the inner flame. Sounds intense.
It implies they're born with a soul that's already fully developed, connected to higher consciousness. These are the people who, even without trying, just seem to have natural wisdom, real compassion, this gut understanding of life's mysteries.
We all know people like that, right?
Right.
That grandparent or teacher or friend who just knows what to say, has that calming presence.
Exactly. They just radiate it.
Yeah.
Then the second group, the majority, maybe around 60%, she called the cosmic learners.
Cosmic learners, they're learning.
Right. They have a developing soul.
Yeah.
There's potential there, but it needs activating through spiritual practice or big life experiences, real transformative moments.
That's most of it, I thought.
Yeah, the people searching, feeling that pull towards something more. We have those moments of insight, maybe even mystical feelings sometimes, but then...
Then we forget, get caught up in daily life, money, stress.
Exactly. Phases of forgetfulness, materialism, feeling disconnected. It's a work in progress.
Okay, so bearers of the inner flame, cosmic learners. What's the third? You said it was unsettling.
Yeah, this is the one that really shakes things up. The human simulacra.
Simulacra, like copies, fakes.
Essentially, yeah. Beings who look human, act human, but according to her, completely lack a developed soul or any real potential for spiritual growth.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Lack a soul, completely.
That was her claim. Now, she was clear they aren't necessarily evil. They just operate differently. Driven by instinct, social programming, basic biological urges, spiritually empty.
And how many people did she think fell into this category?
This is the shocking part. Around 35%.
35%. 1 in 3 people.
Statistically, yeah. Roughly 1 in every 3 people you meet, according to this manuscript, doesn't have a soul in the way we usually think of it. They're like sophisticated biological machine, human shells.
Capable of imitating everything. Emotions, beliefs.
Flawlessly, she said. They can learn the rules, mimic the behaviors, even talk a good spiritual game, but there's no actual divine spark inside. And she believes she could tell them apart.
She claims she had specific methods, not mystical rituals, but observing behavior patterns, how they react to spiritual ideas, and crucially, whether they show real inner growth over time.
Not just changing jobs or hairstyles, but actual deep change.
Exactly. And the most disturbing part of her theory. She said this division isn't temporary. You can't just work hard and graduate from simulacra to learner.
It's fixed.
It's a matter of cosmic structure, she argued. Different evolutionary stages that you can't just jump between through effort. It ties into why old spiritual texts sometimes talk about the few chosen or those with ears to hear.
Not elitism, but maybe recognizing a fundamental difference in capacity.
That was her interpretation. A profound underlying reality about consciousness itself.
Okay, let's really dig into the absolute core of this manuscript.
Yeah.
The part that caused the panic.
Right. Blavatsky wasn't just saying some people are more spiritual, that's obvious.
Yeah.
She was saying a huge chunk of humanity flat out doesn't have a soul, in the sense most...
Yeah, let's be super clear on this. She argued the soul isn't automatic. It's not something you get just by being born human.
It's something that's developed or is earned.
Exactly. Over maybe countless lifetimes through specific evolutionary steps. And the key point, not everyone has reached that stage yet.
So walking around us aren't just people on different steps of the same ladder.
In her view, no. It's more like different types of beings in human bodies. Some with fully formed souls, some with developing ones, and that third group.
The simulacra.
Right. Possessing only what she called a temporary personality. Like a collection of instincts, habits, conditioned responses. It can look like real consciousness.
But it's hollow, lacks that core substance.
That's the idea. Think of it like different software on similar computers. They all look the same outside.
Right.
But inside, one's running this incredibly complex AI, another has a standard OS that's learning, and the third maybe just has a basic BIOS that can mimic some functions but can't really run complex programs.
So the crucial thing isn't just less developed.
No, she stressed this. It's a fundamentally different kind of existence, one that, in her view, will never develop true spiritual consciousness, no matter how many chances it gets.
How does she explain why this happens?
Through something she called the law of cosmic crystallization.
Cosmic crystallization. Okay.
Think of a seed. It has potential, right? But only for a certain time, if it misses its window to germinate.
It just stays a seed. Looks the same, but the life potential is gone.
Exactly. Blavatsky said souls have these critical evolutionary windows, too.
Yeah.
Cosmic periods where certain shifts have to happen. If you miss the window,
you crystallize, you stay stuck.
Forever, she argued. As a human simulacrum, the potential is lost. And this, for her, explained a lot of weird human behavior.
Like what?
Why some people seem totally immune to deep spiritual teachings, no matter how clearly explained. Why some can commit horrific acts with zero remorse. Why some live only for material stuff, never asking why.
Her answer, they just don't have the inner equipment for it.
That was her stark conclusion. They lack the necessary spiritual hardware, so to speak.
And the chilling part you mentioned, they can fake it really well.
Impressively well, she claimed. Go to church, meditate, use all the right buzzwords, even have experiences they think are mystical.
But it's all surface level, personality stuff.
Just the superficial personality, yeah. No real connection to a spiritual core. Like a brilliant actor playing a saint, totally convincing on stage.
But off stage, it's just an actor.
Exactly. And importantly, she said, this isn't a punishment. It's not a moral judgment. It's just cosmic timing.
Timing.
These beings missed their evolutionary train in previous cycles. Now they're in human bodies for a final kind of conscious experience before their energy just returns to nature.
And she put a number on.
Around 35%, 1 in 3.
Think about that. You interact daily, statistically, with people who, in her framework, have no true soul.
Right.
Colleagues, neighbors, maybe even closer.
They could be successful, smart, seem perfectly fine, but spirit hollow.
The implications are huge, especially for religions based on saving everyone.
Right. If there's no soul to save, or if awakening is the goal, but some lack the capacity to awaken, it unravels everything.
Blavatsky knew this was explosive. Apparently, she scribbled a note in the manuscript margin.
How would it say?
Something like, "This truth will destroy more comforting illusions than all the wars and revolutions in history. But truth does not need to be comfortable to be true."
Wow. Truth does not need to be comfortable to be true. That hits hard.
Okay, so this is the theory. How did she claim you could actually tell? This is where it gets really practical and maybe a bit unnerving.
Right, the identification guide. Not complex rituals, she said, just observing everyday behavior.
And once you start noticing these patterns, it's kind of hard to unsee them.
Okay, so what's the first sign? What did she point to?
One of the big ones was this absence of internal echo.
Internal echo, what does that mean?
Think about talking about deep stuff, death, meaning, connection. With most people, even if they're not spiritual, you get some kind of resonance, discomfort, curiosity, denial. Something stirs.
Right, there's a reaction from within.
Exactly. With the spiritual voids, she said, there's just nothing. It's like talking to a polite wall. They might say the right things, use the right words.
But it feels hollow, like they're just reciting lines.
Precisely. There's no sense that it actually landed anywhere deep inside them. It's not just lack of interest, it's an absence of that inner space where those ideas could resonate.
Like trying to explain color to someone born blind.
Yeah.
They can learn the words, but the experience isn't there.
Good analogy. Then there's the perfect imitation without real understanding.
Ah, the spiritual actors.
Exactly. You know, people who've done all the workshops, meditate daily, talk endlessly about chakras and energy, but it just feels performed, artificial.
Yeah, like a flawless recitation, but no actual spark.
Right. Blavatsky said these voids are brilliant mimics. They can replicate spiritual behaviors perfectly, even have intense experiences. But she argued those are just psychological or neurological events, not genuine spiritual connections.
Okay, what else?
A really telling one, she thought, was the inability for real internal growth over time.
So looking at someone over years.
Yeah. People with souls, even if they struggle, tend to evolve somehow, gain wisdom, become more compassionate, deepen their self-awareness. Something shifts internally.
But the voids.
They might change on the outside. New job, more money, different habits, but inside, they remain fundamentally the same, stuck in these fixed patterns, incapable of real transcendence.
Like they're running the same core program, just with different peripherals attached?
Kind of. Then she mentioned the test of genuine compassion.
How did she define that? Because people can fake being nice.
Exactly. She distinguished it from social compassion, the learned politeness. She meant that deep empathy that just arises when someone is truly suffering.
Spontaneously.
Yeah. Observe who offers real comfort versus who just goes through the motion. The voids, she said, can perform concern convincingly. But there's often this mechanical quality, like running a sympathy subroutine.
What about how people face the end, mortality?
Another key indicator, she thought. Someone with a soul, when they really confront death, usually shows some depth. Fear, curiosity, acceptance, denial. But there's substance there, an existential weight.
And the voids.
They tend to treat it like a technical problem, something to be solved, managed, or just ignored. There's no real deep anguish, no questioning of meaning. It's just the machine stopping.
Cathical.
Yeah. And you start hearing this and maybe you start thinking about people you know or even yourself. She also talked about how these types respond differently to actual spiritual teachings.
Okay, how so?
The developed souls, the bearers of the flame, they often have these spontaneous aha moments. They make connections beyond what was explicitly taught.
They integrate it intuitively.
Right. The cosmic learners. They show gradual progress, ups and downs, confusion, clarity. But over time, they integrate the teachings. You see consistent growth.
Makes sense. And the voids?
They can memorize perfectly. They can quote scripture or esoteric texts flawlessly. They can even teach. But
the understanding isn't lived.
Exactly. It never becomes wisdom. It's always just processed information, never living truth. There's no spark.
And maybe the ultimate test, how people handle real deep suffering.
Not just a bad day, but the shattering stuff. Loss, betrayal. Yeah, people with souls, even when broken, tend to eventually search for meaning or growth through the pain. There's an attempt, however fumbling, to transform it into wisdom.
Whereas the voids?
They treat it purely as a problem to fix. Get rid of the pain, return to comfort, no search for meaning, no transformation, just eliminate the negative.
Blavatsky must have known putting this out there was playing with fire.
Oh, absolutely. She apparently put strong warnings in the manuscript. This wasn't for judging or discriminating.
It's just for understanding, adjusting expectations.
Right. And she also warned that trying to diagnose yourself using these criteria is notoriously unreliable. The ego is tricky.
Good point. So why? Why this division? What was her grand explanation for this stratification?
To really get it, you have to dive into her cosmology, which is ambitious, to say the least. She said the answer isn't psychology or morality. It's baked into the structure of cosmic evolution itself.
So it's not about individual failure. It's about the system.
Pretty much. Her view was that humanity right now isn't one species evolving together. It's actually 3 distinct types of beings, all at different points on this massive evolutionary journey spanning millions of years.
3 types, corresponding to the 3 categories we discussed.
Exactly. And she explained this using her concept of root races.
Okay, root races.
Yeah.
Need to be careful here. This isn't about ethnicity, right?
No, absolutely not. She was very clear. These are vast stages of consciousness development, huge evolutionary epochs. Each one represents a quantum leap in awareness.
Got it. So different consciousness stages coexisting now.
That's the unsettling part. We're in this transition period where 3 root races are basically overlapping, sharing the planet, sharing similar physical bodies.
So the bears of the inner flame.
They're representatives of the coming 6th root race, beings who've already mastered the individual soul thing and are starting to develop this higher group consciousness, like pioneers born ahead of their time.
Okay, and the cosmic learners.
That's the current 5th root race, where most of humanity should, according to her. The main evolutionary task for this race is developing that individual soul fully, integrating mind, body, spirit.
Which brings us to the spiritual void. Where do they fit in?
This is the core of the controversial claim. They are, she said, remnants of the 4th root race.
4th, from a previous 8, millions of years ago.
Yeah. Beings who were supposed to complete their soul development back then, but didn't. They missed their window.
How does that work? Missing an evolutionary window.
She described these critical cosmic periods where certain transformations have to happen, like an evolutionary train leaving the station. If you're not on board when it departs, you're left behind, permanently.
So the 4th root race had its chance to develop the soul.
And some did and moved on. Others, through their collective choices, their focus, they got crystallized, stuck at that level.
Crystalline, like the seed that can't sprout.
Exactly. And when the 5th root race started becoming dominant, these stragglers from the 4th were kind of carried along. They started incarnating in modern human bodies.
But kept their old consciousness structures.
That's the idea. She wasn't calling them primitive to be insulting, but in an evolutionary sense, like living fossils preserving consciousness patterns from a bygone era.
So they live this borrowed existence.
Right. They use modern bodies, modern tech, can even mimic modern thinking and emotions, but internally they're operating on a different, older system.
Which explains the gap. Why they seem normal in some ways, but lack that depth in others. Compassion, inner growth, spiritual connection.
That was her explanation. Their core programming is from a different evolutionary stage.
How did this crystallization actually happen? Was it like one bad decision?
More like a gradual orientation. During critical transition times, consciousness makes fundamental choices lean towards spirit matter. Those who consistently focused only on the physical, the emotional, the material.
Their spiritual muscles at
Essential. The inner structures needed for soul development just solidified, became fixed. So when the evolutionary train for the next stage arrived, they literally couldn't get on board. They were trapped in patterns that worked for their time, but were useless for the next level.
And she stressed, this wasn't punishment, just cosmic law.
Impersonal cosmic law, like gravity, a natural consequence of mistime. But here's the kicker, the really disturbing part for us now.
Oh, what is it?
According to the manuscript, we are approaching another one of those critical evolutionary windows right now.
Another one. For us, the 5th root race.
Yes. The transition from the 5th to the 6th root race has begun, and guess what?
Not everyone's going to make it through this one either.
Bingo.
So the signs she mentioned, they're signs of this current separation happening.
That's what she claimed. The accelerated awakening, some people are experiencing psychic stuff popping up, deep search for meaning, rejecting materialism, that's the 6th race energy starting to manifest.
Preparation for the leap.
Right. But at the same time, you see the opposite. Extreme materialism, obsession with instant gratification, inability to think deeply, superficiality.
That's the crystallization happening. People getting stuck in 5th race patterns.
Or maybe even older patterns. Her conclusion was stark. We are living the separation right now, in real time. Some are preparing for the leap, others are crystallizing, locking themselves out.
And if they crystallize now, they face the same fate as the 4th race remnants.
Becoming conscious fossils in the next era until their energy just dissipate, dissolves back into nature.
Leaving that terrifying question hanging. Which way are you evolving?
Exactly. It puts a whole different spin on things, doesn't it? This idea of urgency. Not about saving the planet in 50 years, but about an evolutionary window closed. Maybe much.
These transitions, she called them cosmic portals.
Yeah. Moments when the rules shift, allowing for these big leaps, but they also act like filters, separating those ready to move on from those who are stuck.
And our time is unique because 2 things are happening at once.
Right. The final closing for the 4th race remnant and the critical opening for the 5th race to potentially transition. 3 trains.
So the spiritual voids, the 4th race holdovers.
Yeah.
This is it for them.
Yeah.
Their last incarnate.
That was her claim. They had their chances over millennia, but the crystallization was too complete, Their consciousness just isn't compatible with soul development anymore.
And for us, the fifth race, cosmic learners.
This is our tech. Complete the development of the individual soul now, or in the very near future, or face the same crystallization and dissolution.
Wow, no pressure.
Right. She wasn't talking distant future. She insisted this is happening now, this generation, this historical moment.
And the separation isn't necessarily dramatic like an apocalypse movie?
No, it's silent, internal, happening in the small, everyday choices. Choose growth or comfort, compassion or self-interest, depth or distraction.
Each choice nudging us towards the portal or towards crystallization.
And when the fourth race beings die now, what happens then, according to her?
Just dissipation. Energy returns to nature. No soul continuity, no reincarnation, no further progress. Like a candle flame going out, the potential is extinguished.
Well, the fifth race beings still have a chance, but the clock is ticking.
And it's irreversible, she said. Once that portal closes for this transition, that's it. No do-overs in a few million years.
That was the terrifying finality of it, literally now or never for individual consciousness to make the leap.
So her warning wasn't just intellectual. It was a spiritual survival guide.
An emergency broadcast, almost. Wake up now if you can, because those who are crystallized might be living their last conscious moments before fading out completely.
And that final line you mentioned from the manuscript.
Yeah. Cosmic evolution waits for no one. Either you move with the stars or you remain forever in the dust they leave behind.
Chilling. It frames everything differently. Not philosophy, but an urgent call to those who could still hear it.
A final alarm before the gates close, separating those who ascend from those who dissolve.
So yeah, we've definitely unpacked something profound today and deeply provocative. This idea that humanity isn't one thing spiritually, but these distinct evolutionary types.
It really makes you rethink everything. The implications for your own journey, they're huge.
Absolutely. If Blavatsky was right, even partially right, about these evolutionary windows closing.
It makes you look at your everyday choices differently, doesn't it? Those small, subtle decisions. Could they actually be shaping your cosmic trajectory?
Definitely leaves you with something to chew on, a lot to chew on.